I'm Rachel Girot. I am the 504 coordinator here at Utah Virtual Academy. Let's talk about 504 accommodation plans. Today I'm going to share the difference between a 504 and an IEP, give you some examples, show you how to find students with 504 plans, where to find their accommodations, and how to make a child find referral. What's the difference? 504 plans are civil rights. You're just not allowed to discriminate against people that have any type of disability. You have to provide accommodations if they need them. So with this type of student, they have a disability that's creating some hurdles that are impacting things like their health, their focus, the sleep, attendance, engagement, communication. And so these things ultimately impact their ability to learn, right? They can run, but they keep on hitting these hurdles related to their impairment. IEPs are grounded in special education law. IDEA, remember, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act? IEPs provide accommodations, and most importantly, they guarantee specialized instruction. This is where our special education teachers come in and other service providers like speech pathologists. The disability has to significantly negatively impact academic achievement despite good attendance and engagement and efforts of the student, and despite the PLC team's multi-tiered systems of support, positive behavior interventions, and other interventions. Let me go through some examples. Let's say a student has a chronic illness. The student feels sick often, takes medications with adverse effects, has to take time off from school for treatments or doctor's visits. The student's going to need some extra time and possibly modifications to their assignments to help them to keep up with the pace of the class. This student can run the race. We just need to provide some accommodations to help them finish the race. It's always best with whatever you're doing to help the student keep up with the pace of the class. Once they start to fall behind, anxiety and depression can set in. They hit a wall and they just give up. Now let's look at a student with an IEP who has a traumatic brain injury. So this was caused by an accident. It's actually damage to the brain. So the student is struggling to comprehend what they read. They can't retain anything that they learn. They need specialized instruction in order to be able to learn. A couple more examples. ADHD. ADHD can go the special education route, but oftentimes they just need a 504 accommodation plan. The student may struggle to focus, so it takes them longer to complete assignments, or they might need the teacher to break assignments down into smaller, more manageable steps. They can do the work, they can learn, they just have these hurdles that are caused by the ADHD. Now, let's look at the student who has an IEP because they have a learning disability in math. Even though this student attends math class every day, sits in the front row, engages, does their best work, they still are struggling to recall basic math facts in high school or struggle to complete multi-step problems. The student just feels like they just can't learn math. So this student requires specialized instruction. Now, autism is an interesting case because a student with autism doesn't necessarily need an IEP. For example, a high-functioning student that does extremely well academically in all of their subjects. The student doesn't require specialized instruction from a special education teacher, though the student may need some accommodations as a result of some of those hurdles related to autism. Now, a student with autism might need an IEP. They might be a genius with math, but they may not be able to formulate ideas into simple sentences. So this student may require specialized instruction in writing. How do you find your students with 504 plans? So it doesn't just pop up when you open up TV, unfortunately, like it does if a student has an IEP. So this is the reason why I recommend every time you get a new class, you do Natalie's spreadsheet generator. Her spreadsheet generates a 504 column, a SPED column, and an EL, English Language Learner column as well. And if the student has any of those special programs, it will say yes. I recommend that if you have that going on, that you highlight that column for that student, and then you're going to go into Total View and look that student up. Click on the Special Programs tab and scroll down and see if any of those special programs have a check next to them. If 504 is checked, I've put a link in there to the accommodations. You can just select that link, copy it, and paste it into a browser, and you'll be able to see the accommodations. And you can also paste that link up in your spreadsheet so that you'll always have access to that anytime you want to be reminded of those accommodations. Child find referrals, this means that you have a student who is struggling in your class and you're starting to get the impression that they're going to need either a 504 or an IEP. Or you've heard the parent mention that my student has anxiety or depression or ADHD or Tourette's or a learning disability. Sometimes they'll just come out and say, I had a 504 at my old school, or I had a special education plan at my old school. And you go into Total View and you see, we don't have any record or indication of this, so I better make sure that I make a child find referral. All that means is you're just going to email myself or Joette. Don't worry if you email the wrong person. If you think it's 504, email me. But if you think it's probably related to special education, then email Joette. We communicate with each other, so if you get the wrong person, that's okay. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'm here to help, so just let me know what I can do to help.